after he was on hand in Omaha watching his Mississippi State Bulldogs win the College World Series. Perhaps even more motivation for Dak in hopes of leading Dallas to its first Super Bowl title in more than 25 years. Of course, Dak's coming back from that gruesome season-ending ankle injury in October, but now fully healthy heading into training camp. He told KXAS NBC5 it's going to be a big year in Big D.
A lot of improvement, obviously from last year to this year, but deeper than that from those first 5 games. Take those first 5 games and just say we're going to be better than that as a team. We're going to play more complementary football from defense to offense to special teams, and then we're going to have a healthy team. We're excited for this year. It's going to be very, very special for us and for Cowboy fans.
Let's bring in Brian Ballinger and James Palmer. Boy, you understand the high expectations in Dallas every single season. We were having similar conversations last year. We know the offense has the playmakers to be special, but that defense, look out. They brought in Dan Quinn. What's your recipe for a special season for the Cowboys this year in 2021?
Well, I share some of Dak's optimism about the upcoming season. But he said a real important phrase in there, Omar. He said, we got to play better complementary football. Their defense in his first 5 starts last year was awful. I mean, they were giving up 44 points a game, and it forced Dak in games against Cleveland when they're down 41-14 to air it out every play. So if you look at Dak's stats last year, they are awfully inflated. And I'm not downgrading what Dak did. He was just trying to compete and stay in these games. But it was awful to watch, and we all saw it. And so, look, Dan Quinn comes in there, a ton of new talent coming over on the defensive side, very young. It's going to take a while to mold that. But in the time being, offensively, they're the best team in the NFC East. And I don't know if it's enough to win the East, but that should be their goal, to win the East, and not just win the East, but win playoff games, because if you win the East, you're playing at home. And I think Jerry Jones, his mandate, we got to win a playoff game this year with a healthy Dak and a paid Dak.
Well, you're exactly right. I don't think Mike McCarthy was brought in by Jerry Jones just to make it to the playoffs. It was to win playoff games. And you look at the way they're lined up this year. They have the second easiest schedule in all of football. This is arguably the worst division in all of football. And they have hands down the best quarterback in the division by far. And 8 of their first 9 games are against teams that didn't make the playoffs a year ago. So they're set up well, specifically for this defense to hopefully get rolling early with their 3rd defensive coordinator in 18 months. But to me, also helping out that defense could be potentially running the football a little bit more. You heard all those numbers that Baldy had to throw out there because they were throwing the football so much to stay in these games. Well, Ezekiel Elliott has a bit of a chip on his shoulder this offseason, Omar, and a lot of reports out of Dallas is that his feet are a lot quicker than they have been in the last couple of years. Last year, he's coming off of a year where he had a career low in yards per carry, and touchdowns. Could potentially getting him the football a little bit more with a maybe rejuvenated Ezekiel Elliott help out this defense, keep him off the field. We know how many playmakers they have. That could help out this group. And again, staying healthy could be a big part of that optimism. You heard Dak say that as well.
James, to your point, Dallas won playoff games under Jason Garrett, but they never put that deep playoff run together. Certainly the Cowboys looking for that in 2021. Just having a winning season would be a good start. Now to another team that's focusing on a bounce-back year. The Patriots, their first-round pick, Mac Jones, is getting some love from his former college teammate Jalen Hurts. Hurts saying recently that because of Mac's unique college career, where he sat behind Hurts and Tua and then went out and won a national championship of his own, has set himself up for a successful NFL career, right, guys? It's Cam's job to lose, apparently. Newton saying he feeds off the haters. And on the other side, Belichick not shy about pulling quarterbacks if he feels there's a better option on the roster. So how do you see the Patriots quarterback situation playing out, Baldy?
Well, I think it's Cam Newton's job to lose. I think whatever Cam Newton has left, we're going to see the best of it. The roster around him has been greatly improved, not just offensively with weapons, but defensively. They're a much improved football team around the quarterback. Now, Cam was benched twice last year. He was benched against the 49ers at home, benched at home in Week 16 against Buffalo. He just wasn't moving the team. He was making way too many errors. Now, Mac Jones comes in. I've never seen a quarterback complete 78% of their passes at any level. High school, college, pro, I've never seen it. We watched Mac Jones do it this year. I mean, if he's out there and he's completing passes around the yard out there at Gillette Stadium all preseason long, I mean, maybe there'll be a push to get Mac Jones on the field. But I think for right now, the way that Cam Newton can really help out a running game, the way that he did it last year, and the weapons around him, it's his job to lose right now.
And Baldy, when you look at the way the offseason went, I think there's a few things that we were made clear of. And that's one, this is Cam Newton's job until somebody beats him out. And that has to happen. Two, what Mac Jones did during this offseason, OTAs and minicamp, can't really be ignored. And I think that doesn't mean he's going to take the job right now, but he did open some eyes in New England with the way his decision-making improved over those 4 weeks, the way he was decisive with the football, and they did not handle him with white gloves. Talking to people in New England, they really wanted to push him and try to get him ready as quickly as possible. It's something Bill Belichick likes to see with him and his staff, and they've been working on that very hard with Mac Jones. So I do think...
Hello and welcome into NFL Total Access. I'm Omar Reese. Lots to talk about regarding Carson Wentz and his extreme makeover quarterback edition, plus Dak Prescott's prediction for Cowboys fans. But first, some news on the Washington football team. And for more on that, let's bring in Mike Garafolo. Mike, the NFL launched an investigation late last summer into allegations of harassment and workplace misconduct. And today, the NFL handed out a record-setting fine. What more can you tell us about that?
That's correct, Omar. Today, the NFL announcing the outcome of the investigation conducted by independent counsel Beth Wilkinson and Commissioner Roger Goodell, finding, according to the league's release, quote, that for many years, the workplace environment at the Washington football team, both generally and particularly for women, was highly unprofessional. Bullying and intimidation frequently took place. Many describe the culture as one of fear. The league saying that Dan Snyder, who oversaw all this, has acknowledged his role in it. Snyder releasing a statement earlier today as well, saying that he expressed remorse for those who experienced any traumatic instances. So the league fining the Washington football team $10 million. That money will go toward organizations committed to character, education, anti-bullying, and the like. Also, 10 recommendations from Wilkinson for how to change the environment. They include protocols for reporting workplace misconduct, as well as a more diverse workforce. Now, there was no written report from Wilkinson here. That's what the NFL said. Many found that odd, especially because in the past, when the NFL has conducted investigations, we've had written reports and they've been disclosed publicly. But the NFL saying only oral reports in this case. Some folks did find that odd, including lawyers Lisa Banks and Deborah Katz, who are representing a bunch of former Washington football team employees. They called it, quote, a slap in the face to hundreds of women and former employees who came forward in good faith and at great personal risk to report a culture of abuse at all levels.
Mike, on that video we kept seeing over your report, the focus was Dan Snyder, of course, the owner of the Washington football team. We already knew that there was an organizational restructure that happened earlier this week. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, that would be Tanya Snyder, Dan's wife, becoming co-CEO. Now, she will take over the day-to-day operations of the team, and Dan Snyder will step aside to focus on other team orders of business, including a new stadium. Now, there was a report at one point, a Washington radio report, that stated that Beth Wilkinson, who conducted the investigation, suggested that Snyder sell the team. Janet Novus, special counsel for the NFL, was asked about that and said no, Wilkinson was only charged with assessing the workplace and making recommendations for how to improve the workplace going forward, not in regard to Snyder's future. So in this case, it's going to be at least for the next several months that Tanya Snyder will handle the day-to-day operations. The NFL, by the way, saying that that was voluntary for Dan Snyder to step away and allow Tanya to handle the day-to-day operations. No firm time frame, just at the very least a couple of months in which that will be the case. Tanya Snyder running the day-to-day operations. But in the end, Dan Snyder gets to keep the team, and I suppose that is the headline for a lot of folks here who believe that maybe that should have been the penalty in this case, but Commissioner Roger Goodell not agreeing with that.
Yeah, big note there. Voluntary, that move to have Dan Snyder focus on getting that new stadium built. And of course, Washington has been saying for months now that they've been changing that culture with Ron Rivera, Jason Wright, and the rest of that organizational shakeup in the last couple of years. Mike Garafolo, thank you very much. We'll have more from you in a little while in the show.